And welcome back to Bros in a Landfill, the only podcast that will send you spam texts for no reason.
I was going to say we could cut it and make it a tiny bros banter, but never mind, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So, Spring Anime 2019 finally technically ended because of JoJo's finale airing, like, in July of all times. Yeah, we're like 3 weeks into the summer season, and we finally get the last episode of the spring season. Hooray. So just like the last few seasons, I'm here. My name's Trybien. I'm here to talk about anime. Today we've got Dizzy. Hello, Dizzy.
I'm here. I just didn't think I needed to say anything.
Yeah.
You gotta
Dizzy's
say
here.
your catchphrase.
And we also got Mel.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, and we got Mel.
My catchphrase.
Yeah, we got Mel back this
everything.
week.
Here's my catchphrase. Smash capitalism.
Smash capitalism as you want to like have a really good time with capitalism.
I thought you were going to put it in Smash.
It's up to interpretation. I'm not a. I believe in death of the author. Take this all out of context.
I believe in just it's a Nintendo Direct. We have like it's a Nintendo Direct. It zooms in on just New York City. There's like the Empire State Building, and then just the Empire State Building gets a card, and it says, and it's the Smash an envelope, and then it says capitalism has come to Smash, and then the entirety of just the United States of America, the whole freaking continent, or the whole freaking North America, just all of it, Canada included, it's just running around punching Mario and Mega Man, and just all the jokes, and the rich people or something.
I would prefer if they added Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried
That
Chicken.
works too. Absolutely.
Colonel Sanders busting in with his seven herbs and spices or whatever.
The best video game podcast I've ever been on.
So speaking of Joe, I guess clarification of the rules as in previous anime roundups. It's only shows that I have finished and shows that ended last season. So we'll be talking about some shows that aired in previous seasons, but they specifically ended during the spring season.
I hope you enjoy this podcast about anime by a person who watched a bunch of animes and two people who don't watch anime.
I mean, Mel sometimes watches anime.
I watched
you watch
all
anime
of JoJo
clips.
this season. Fucking
you watch American cartoons.
I watched both. I finished. That's true, but shut up. I've watched.
It's like we got the person who watches only anime clips. We got the person who watches some anime and some American cartoons, and you got the person who only watches anime. So it's a completely balanced cast.
This is why Tar didn't want to be on this week.
Like, let me think. I watched JoJo and maybe a couple other shows from the season, so I'll have at least opinions on some of it.
Okay, so speaking of JoJo, that's what I got at the top of the list.
Let's just start with JoJo,
why not?
because that gives us the most to talk about. Yeah. Because we have nothing to talk about already with Colonel Sanders and Smash Brothers.
Yeah. So, unlike the previous times, I've actually gone ahead and wrote my own summaries for each show because fuck official summaries. They either have too much information or terribly worded or have the Netflix problem. Like
suck?
I can only imagine how much easier the quintessential quintuplets would have been to talk about last time if the My Anime List summary didn't have like the word beautiful like 100 times in that summary.
What?
Yeah. Like I've got my own
It's a thing it's a piss take of dating sims, I think, because instead of them being tsundere, they just legitimately don't like the guy.
Yeah.
And it's
quintuple. I'm not even gonna say it.
Except that's not even the point of the show to be a.
It's like trying to say Benedict Cumberbatch's name.
Because
a lot of I feel like a lot of modern anime is just piss
all I know
takes.
is that
let's be real here.
Yeah, there's a lot of irony anime, like that fucking that one show from like this season is like he goes to an RPG world with his mom, and it's like a piss take on the isekai video game, but it's also.
Okay, there are a lot of piss takes on the isekai genre. I feel like most isekai are technically piss takes because they all came from the same form.
It's like ReZero is one of the most popular ones, and it's like a meta one where it's like, oh, but the guy isn't cool. I personally think that one just falls into isekai apologetics.
None of them are cool, though. That's the point, because it's like, oh, I'm so uncool, but then I go to a world where I'm cool, but it's cool because I can just be myself, and that's cool.
Well, it's cool. It's cool because you can bring all of this real world knowledge that and all this video game knowledge to this video game world. So you're smarter than everybody else there because you know exactly what to do because you've played video games before.
In reality, if you had in real life isekai, you just fucking die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for that isekai. Like, I get transported to another world and I instantly die.
Transported
Dark Souls isekai. Oh shit.
No.
Well, fuck.
I get transported. I get transported to Dark Souls and get 0 deaths.
Oh, dang.
I was gonna
There you
say, have you seen the Dark Souls speedrunners? They get transported to the Dark Souls world. They're gonna be the kings of just reality.
Well, anyways, what's JoJo?
Anyways, so first anime I have on here is JoJo Golden Wind. Giorno Giovanni, the illegitimate son of a time-stopping vampire, has one goal: to reform the corrupt mafia into a virtuous organization. Following a fateful encounter leading to the death of a mafia grunt, Giorno is recruited into the same organization he desires to change. Under the supervision of Bruno Bucciolati, a man with similar ambitions, Giorno must prove his worth and loyalty to ascend the ranks of Passion in order to become a gangstar.
All right, let's just cut to the chase and say that Giorno does the Dio pose.
Okay, let me cut to the chase. That Giorno is Dio's son. Giorno is probably the least interesting JoJo, but Golden Wind is also like the most intense JoJo. It probably has the most tense fights, some of the best interactions, some of the most interesting stands.
Well, I really liked it much more than when I read the manga.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. You can tell that the director of this loves Golden Wind. There was so much love put into this production. There's a lot of really nice touches and like bonus scenes and everything that they added just to enhance it. And also, a lot of the story is like rearranged in ways that makes it easier to read and flow and fit into like an anime formats. Because like some of the fights I believe were rearranged so that they're less jarring and stuff, and some of the weirder stuff was. They did a bit of that in Part 4, but I think Part 5 benefited far more from this because Part 4 in general was already a bit of a tighter story. Yeah. I liked the flourishes in Part 4 too. There's a lot of good stuff. Like I love the intro with like hinting at Kira. The definitely brings it more around than with because Araki didn't know that Kira was coming in when he started it and everything. Yeah, I mean, this is Araki writes whatever the hell he wants to write. So like, it does benefit from the bonus of like extra scenes and stuff showing the characters and like foreshadowing things that Araki hadn't even thought of at the time. So like, you can have like a few scenes here like doing, oh, this is what the villain is really up to or something. One of the things I've actually really appreciated from Part 5, because this is the only part that really does this, is that it introduces everybody's backstories at the very beginning. Yeah. So through the rest of the show, it's just focusing on the action. We're not getting any breaks from the action or the stuff going on. And usually in JoJo, what ends up happening is, we get into this confrontation. This is an important person's confrontation. We get some snippet of their backstory, then we go on. But JoJo really likes to do the backstory thing, like just spur of the moment. Like fucking, we only get Kakyoin's backstory as like in the final moment where he's dying against Dio. That's sort of the thing. You only get the backstories when the people are about to die. Basically. I mean, that's kind of like the JoJo trope. It's like you either get it right away or they're gonna die. But I feel like Part 5 was absolutely the most fun to watch out of all the parts so far. Yeah, I really liked Part 5. I loved I just enjoyed a lot of it. It was a really good ride, and my opinion of it. I think the adaptation really improves my opinion of what I thought. Definitely. Reading it back in the day was a weaker story and everything, and there's still some janks to it. Granted. I mean, we've only had the bad translations of the manga for the longest time. Oh no, I read the JoJo's Color Adventure. Oh, okay. So that was. I don't know the difference between the better or worse ones, but yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed and remember, like, I enjoyed them. It's actually sort of funny. I enjoyed the Part 4 manga more than I did the anime. I preferred the Part 5 anime over the manga. Yeah. I think the pacing of the different mediums, like, because JoJo's so weird with its pacing in the different parts. Yeah, like, especially, like in this part, there's a lot of, like the epilogue is actually a prologue. It's really weirdly all done and everything. And, like, it basically stops, like, basically by the time we get to the last episode, the story's already done. And, so it's
very I think it's definitely like weak in a few places where like character wise, but not as weak as like I heard someone be like, "Oh, these characters are so unforgettable and not as good as Stardust Crusaders." I'm like, Stardust Crusaders characters were so weak. It was.
I know, like they had a great cast dynamic, but as individuals, they sort of fell apart. Where Part 5 had a much more a larger emphasis on the individuals of the characters rather than the group dynamic. In some ways, it almost felt like you had a bit more like smaller smaller groups within the larger group. Where in Part 5, it was just sort of like just the group.
It really benefits, I think, from the group dynamic. It feels really cool to see them like as a team and all their backstories and everything, and how they've all been, they've all become gang stars. It's really nice. It's really cool. Yeah. And I think I actually remember reading a Vento Audio review by one of my other Ace Attorney online friends, Lind. She wrote one for I think my anime list a while ago, and he said despite how long and how much stuff there is in Vento Oreo, he said it probably would benefit from being longer, so we'd have more time with the characters and stuff. And I think I agree with that because for one, it feels like a lot of the cast does not get as much time to shine. For Fugo gets one fight, Abakio.
Well, that's actually the interesting. That's the interesting thing about Part 5 is I feel like the villains and the had far more impacting development throughout the story than the main cast.
That's one thing I did enjoy. All the villains get, not all the villains, but a lot of the villains get a lot more depth and care put into them than the average JoJo villain, and that's really fun, and I enjoy it. Like Pesci adds a character arc during his fight, and that's one of my favorite JoJo fights.
Yeah, it's the only funny enough, the only fight I think really suffers in the anime is the big bad final fight. I feel that's something that really struggled from going week to week with the pacing, because that was the only extended fight with one person, where the previous all the previous fights you usually had two. It was usually against two specific people, and there's chemistry that's working off. There's always something happening, but in the last 4 or 5 episodes before the finale, it's only 1 or 2 things was happening per episode.
Yeah, it definitely. I think Diavolo and Diavolo and Giorno are definitely ironically the weakest ones in the series.
Yeah.
Or in this part, I still don't actually. I do like Giorno, and I think he's actually much better JoJo than I used to think he was. But Diavolo, I think, is really weak, and I think it is a bit of a failing that they're not stronger, because they're the main two, and it doesn't feel as much meat to it as there should be, because that's Giorno's goal from the beginning. There's more between Diavolo and Bucciarati, because Bucciarati's the traitor and everything, and in some ways, and I get similar vibes to Part 3 in this way. It's the JoJo was more of a mechanic to get through the story. The JoJo was less of a character. We're coming off of Part 4 and Part 2 is really weird, because Joseph and Josuke are JoJo, and that they have these big personalities. They're really interesting. They're the main draw of the show. Where in Part 3 and Part 5, the Giorno and Jotaro are both more of your silent protagonist, silent, good-hearted protagonists who just do stuff. And that's where I think things really struggle. That's also why I think the dynamic between Jotaro and Dio isn't as strong, because Jotaro doesn't have much of a personality outside of being just the quiet, cool guy. Where when you had Part 1, you had the Jonathan and Dio, and Jonathan has this big personality, and Dio has this big personality, and they're playing off each other. Then in the final fight of Part 3, it's you have Dio with this big personality, and Jotaro being, bro, you pissed me off. Well, I do think it's at least built up well between them, the tension and the climax. Well, that's why so many people have that's why that meme of Dio and Jotaro walking at each other is so popular, because they do have
Well, but I think what works in Part 3's favor is that's something that's the goal from the beginning. It's something that's building up through the entire show, where the fight with Diavolo is never actually built up. But you never know. You don't really get a feeling that something's gonna there's gonna be a fight, but it's never oh yes, Giorno and Diavolo are gonna have this big epic fight. It's oh, they're mostly just running after the arrow at the end.
I think that's one thing that definitely makes Goldwind a little weaker, is that it gets very complex at times and it makes it hard to follow. Like basically when it gets to like the ending, all of a sudden there's a lot of balls in the air when it comes to Silver Chariot Requiem. There's the body swapping, then figuring out who Diavolo, which body is, and then all that kind of stuff. And also like the metamorphosis stuff that doesn't really go anywhere. There's a lot going on in that last fight that makes it much harder to read than like the straightforward Jotaro versus Dio fight.
But I'll leave it at this. Part 5 had like voice acting is phenomenal, like usual.
I really loved the voice actors switching their roles.
I know. I think JoJo in general has some of the best voice acting in anime, and Part 5 definitely did not disappoint. You can like when I watch JoJo, you can see how much of an important cultural impact JoJo has had on Japan, because it sounds like these actors are excited to be playing a JoJo character. Yeah, like it's just I love listening to performances in every JoJo part. Anyways, I think we're a bit JoJo'd out. I've got more things to get through anyway. So the next one I got on here it's a anime about Dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Is Dizzy still here?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Dizzy show. It's called Hitori Bochi. Oh, Hitori Bachi.
It's not really the Dizzy show though.
I know. I know it's not. I'm memeing. I am absolutely memeing. I'm aware.
Context,
the only reason why I say it's Dizzy,
I relate with Bochi on a lot of things of anxieties and having trouble with speaking with people, but Bochi has a serious difference. She's fundamental.
Yeah, she's nothing. Like, the only reason that like I make that meme is because you sometimes have the panicked anime girl for your avatar.
No, because first of all, no one who watches the podcasts that isn't part of the Discord knows that I always have a panicked anime girl avatar, because my avatar on these thumbnails...
Well, we gotta get them in the Discord. If you're listening to this, we have the Discord link in the freaking description. Join us. We've got the Discord link on our Twitter feed at Landfill Bros. Shilling the Discord. Go into our Discord for all the latest updates on Bros in a Landfill.
We're making an RPG still. But like, no, but like... Bochi was interesting to me because it felt less like a person making an anime for anxious people, and more about them making an anime about anxious people, of like the internal struggle, the fears, the worries about stuff, the concerns, and like things that you wouldn't think are big deals or huge deals, like where she's like trying to make cream for pancakes, and then she's like having this huge mental breakdown of like, am I doing this right? Does it taste right? I've never done this before. Am I gonna screw it up? And it's like, I relate with that. But Bochi
Anyways,
is
I should probably read the
not Bochi. Even still, Bochi is she's actually more competent than I am. So.
Yeah,
I relate.
Don't sell yourself short. I don't think Bochi could make an RPG Maker game like you can.
She absolutely could. You have no idea the creative talent of recluses.
Sure, recluse.
If you gave Bochi Minecraft or RPG Maker, you would never see her again. She would be on her computer.
I should read the
daily,
summary,
and then she would come out.
I should read
5 months later. And she'd be like, Nako-chan, look at this. And then she'd be like, holy shit. What is this? 6 hours? What the hell?
Anyways, I should read this. I should read the summary for our lovely viewers. So Hitori Bachi, being a girl with crippling social anxiety, Hitori Bachi never felt the need for many friends. Her sole companion, Yowaru Kai, was the only person Bochi ever connected with. With Kai attending a different middle school, Bachi will have to face the next few years of her life alone and having to face her anxiety by herself. To make matters worse, Kai informs Bachi that she will no longer talk with her until Bachi makes friends with everyone in her class.
Which Bachi fails because there's this one person in the class. She makes friends with everyone in class except one person who's just like, I don't feel like it. And it's not even the one that's like defiantly reclusive. It's just one that's like, I'm not really much the friendly
I mean,
type. And then they never
I
be
mean-
friends. And then Bochi graduates middle school, and then Kane never talks to her again. And then somewhere far away, a white and
okay.
black bear starts a killing game, and Bochi has nothing to do with it at all.
I guarantee if Bocce wasn't able to make friends with everybody in their class, Kai would will still end up talking with her. Like she'd be like Kai.
I just
There's a scene where Bocce and Kai run into each other, and it's probably like the most heart-wrenching scene in the show because it shows that like Kai absolutely hates that she's putting Bocce in this situation. She absolutely hates that she can't like talk with Bocce and be friends with her at the time because she said what she did. It's a really dumb, short-sighted plan by a middle schooler who probably also has her own like social anxiety issues too. That's something that also I appreciate about the show is that like every character's got some sort of like thing that makes them a bit othered from everybody else. Like you got the one girl who's like a bit of a she dresses like a delinquent, but she's like really like good natured.
She doesn't even dress like a delinquent, does she? Because
I know
I don't get why everyone keeps calling her that.
I know. I think it's the dyed blonde hair.
Her hair is dyed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's dyed blonde hair.
I didn't.
I don't know. I mean, she might have natural yellow hair, and the teacher discriminates against her because the teacher's afraid of delinquents, and she thinks that she's a delinquent.
Yeah, I was gonna say like everyone thinks she's a delinquent, and I was like, why do they like? She doesn't act like one, and she doesn't
it's
look
more
like
of a,
one. She doesn't wear like the punk stuff. I'll grant you what I think is a
I think
delinquent and
it's
what
more
Japan thinks is a delinquent are not the same thing. So
I think it's going more off that like Gyaru stereotype. Where like, cause like there's the whole like Gyaru bleaching your hair blonde sort of thing. So it's more it falls more under the category of like making assumptions based off of how someone looks rather than getting to know them.
My hair is blonde and I'm not a delinquent. I just skip school and sleep in class, and I hate people.
Yep, and you sleep around.
I'm leaving this call now.
No, don't. I'm joking. Please don't leave me. I'm sorry.
I already left you. I've been gone for the last 20
no.
minutes because I just have nothing to say about JoJo, which, by the way, is that part of the delinquent thing that Giorno's hair turns from natural black to golden? Now that you're telling me that people going blonde is delinquent, is that why Chi-Chi in Dragon Ball calls Gohan a delinquent when he goes Super Saiyan?
Probably,
Japan
yeah,
just hates
probably.
blonde
Just the power
people.
of gayness.
Yeah, it's power of gayness.
Is that really though? Is that just Japan that says if you're blonde you're a delinquent? Is that an actual thing? Because suddenly the dots are connecting and I'm going, wait, am I crazy or is this actually what's going on?
I mean, if you it's one of those things like if you stand out from the crowd, you're a delinquent. That's sort of the cultural problem within Japan is that like there's this very much of a mentality of like
oh
fit
my
in.
God, Toru has yellow
like,
hair too, and she's also a delinquent.
Yeah,
Toru.
Oh, Toru, but like, are you talking about in Hattori?
No,
Bochi?
Toru from Dragon Maid. She
Dragon
also.
Maid. I didn't watch Dragon Maid, so fuck
also
you.
is a delinquent with blonde hair. God, I don't know. Is this conspiracy theories or is this just straight up truth? Why are people responding to my stupid comments on YouTube?
It just comes back. It's more of a stereotype that if you don't like if you stand out, you're a troublemaker.
But she's not a troublemaker.
Anyways, yeah, no, but it's that's what stereotypes are. It's like just because it's a stereotype doesn't make it true.
But all she has is blonde hair. And she doesn't even have.
Well,
she's not even the only person with blonde hair because there's another person with blonde hair that.
No, but see the other person with the blonde hair is a foreigner, so she gets a pass.
But what's her? No, and that one, not the ninja girl, the other person who doesn't have a name and will never have a name and will never come back in the show ever again or be mentioned by anyone except for crazy people like me.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee that you're crazy. I mean,
do you even know who I'm talking about?
You have. I completely forget.
There's a scene where Bochi is going to talk to Naru. I think is his name Naru. Nako. She's gonna go talk to Nako, but then she gets hurt. She thinks someone else is Nako because they both have blonde hair and the exact same.
Oh yeah.
Sweater.
People probably think she's people probably think she's a delinquent too.
It reminds me of that part in Yakuza when there's this guy.
With the
There's
Yakuza
this guy
in it.
who has the same hair color, hairstyle, and jacket as Kiryu, and these Yakuzas are looking for him. And then you just see the guy walking around with his back turned. They're like, "There he is, get him!" And then they grab him, they turn around, and it's like, "Oh, it's not him." And it's like, I know anyone can wear whatever they want, but just what are the fucking odds? Just
Anyways, back to Hitori Bochi. I really liked it. It was wholesome. It's probably one of the best cute girls doing cute things shows out there because it doesn't rely too much on a gimmick. It's just has characters.
For reference,
and the characters are.
I've started playing Yakuza games, so that's why I've been mentioning it so much in the past 4 weeks.
Dizzy wants to join the Yakuza. He wants to be a delinquent.
No, I just like playing the games because I think it's hilarious that you can pick up a portable stove, turn it on, and then shove it in someone's face.
Yep. I'd be careful if I were you, Mel.
No, don't. Are you kidding me? There is a massive difference between me and Kiryu Kazuma. The difference is that he literally can lift a truck, and I have a hard time, I was going to say something, but I just realized that it'd take way more time to explain what it is than to even have a name for it.
Yeah.
But I'm really weak.
So back trying to keep things on track here. I've got nothing else to say about Hitori Bochi. It's if you like good shows, watch Hitori Bochi.
Okay, so try. You have
what?
On the right track is Hitori Bochi, the girl, and on the left track is me. But there's also a modifier in place, and the modifier is that whoever you don't kill will hate you.
Okay, then you know what I do. I use multi-track drift, and I take you both out, so neither of you hate me. And by the way, in the most recent Trial by Trolley video they put up, they used the multi-track drift meme in it. So fuck yeah. Anyways, let's go into the next show. Dororo.
Oh, I've heard of this one.
Wasn't he a character from Sergeant Frog? Wasn't he the ninja?
No, fuck you. Dororo is it's a modern adaptation of a classic Tezuka manga. Here's the summary that I wrote for it. Disposed at birth, following his father offering the infant's limbs to 12 demons, Hyakimaru straddles the line between human and monster as he travels through Edo-era Japan in order to reclaim his body parts. On his journey, he teams up with a young orphan named Dororo, who helps bring light and humanity to this untamed beast who is not afraid to destroy a nation in order to become whole again.
Gotta find those
Dororo
arms.
is so fucking good.
Gotta get those arms back.
Dororo is so fucking good. It's so good. I've got I know I understand that there's been changes from the manga. The original manga had a bit more of a lighthearted tone. They made changes to the anime that takes it a bit more seriously, and I think it really works. It's one of those shows that I was thoroughly invested through the entire watch, week by week. It's got that classic sort of shonen monster of the week setup, but at the same time it's just written so well. There are real moral dilemmas that are at play. It's there are bad people, but the bad people are doing what they do. The bad people think they're doing the right thing. Hyakimaru's father. He does what he does because his nation's dying. So it's he's like, yo, demons, I'll offer you anything if you save my land and save my people. And Dororo's and it's so they take his first son's basically every limb, leaving him just be a skinless husk with no limbs. Somehow he survives. He's picked up by a guy that makes prosthetics for corpses. He's raised, give prosthetic limbs and whatnot. And then as the show goes on, one of the things that makes the moral dilemma interesting is that for every demon that Hyakimaru kills to get his body parts back, the blessings on his father's lands start to dwindle and diminish.
Oh, I see. That's cool.
So like if he like so essentially if he kills all the demons, that means there's nothing like protecting or booning the like his father, like the land that he came from.
That's a cool
and it's
thing,
gonna
yeah.
yeah. And just all the characters are great. He has a great dynamic with his little brother who like is like learning about all this stuff that his father did, but also like have been placed in a dilemma of do I protect being like, well, like if I don't stop my brother, my nation will die. And there's just a cool thing, but there's also the same thing. It's like because his mother, like talking about his mother, regrets everything that's happened, and like she's like, and like in some ways, Hyakumaru's brother blames Hyakumaru for his mother being like that. And there's just a lot of great dynamics. Dororo is a great child. I love Dororo. Dororo brings the light that the show needs without going to the same goofy hijinks that the old manga has, and I feel like it's very tonally consistent through. It's a great tone piece. It's probably it's probably my favorite anime, one of my favorite animes that has come out in the past few years. Like I love Dororo so much.
Yeah. I don't have much to say because I haven't seen any of it. But I'm glad you like it.
My biggest complaint about Dororo is that it's locked on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can get your hands on watching Dororo, I absolutely highly recommend it. It's so good.
Pirate.
Yeah, just burn it all. Moving on to the next show is a little 10 episode show called I think it's a 10 or 11, yeah, it's whatever, called Saran and Mai, a wonderfully gay show that was also really interesting last season.
Saran and Mai. Okay, I was trying to think of what.
Yes.
I was trying to think Saran and Mai. Who's that?
Saran's on my. I can't. If my wife listens to this, she'll be like, "You pronounced all of this wrong," and I'll be like, "I'm right." She doesn't sound like that. She'll just be mildly disappointed. But so here's the summary I wrote for Saran and Mai. What lengths would you go in order to connect? 3 boys face the secrets they hold from each other and their loved ones, all while participating in a secret war between kappas and otters. In this bizarre transforming hero production brought to us by Kunihiko Ikihara, creator of Revolutionary Girl Utena, our 3 unlikely heroes will have to come to terms with the awful things they have done to preserve the connections they have formed.
I want to make a joke here, but it's a massive spoiler to a certain video game, so...
Yeah. Like, Saran and Mai is one of those shows that, like, it's, like, it is... It's weird because,
I'm gonna type it in the chat room because that way I can still make the joke, but it won't be on cast.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, Saran and Mai is one of those shows where it's got like a really like wacky sort of production. Like you have like these boys like transforming into like little kappas and jumping in the buttholes of monsters to pull out their kodama things.
Oh.
Yes, Dizzy. But at the same this is the same show where you're dealing with like one kid who's helping his brother in like a drug trade because he doesn't want to lose his connection with his brother. You have one kid who's like he has like feelings for one of the other, like for like the main boy, but he does everything wrong in regards to trying to keep that connection. He does some like terrible, like they all do terrible things in order to preserve their connections, and it's one of those really like, despite its like premise and its aesthetic and like it being a silly transforming hero show with musical numbers, it like has some of the heaviest subject matter I've like in anime this year, like anime I've seen in a while in general. It's very tonally weird, but yet it's so like fascinating, captivating, and as the show goes on, it just keeps getting darker and darker.
Yeah, see, this is what I was saying at the beginning of the episode when I said you have someone who watches a bunch of anime and two people who don't watch any anime.
Oh, and also there's like the main the main antagonist team it's like one of the best couples of 2019 anime. So yes, like
it's good. I've only seen like the one music video where like two cops dance, and I think there's a monster.
Yeah, those two cops are the best. Yeah, those two dancing cops are the best couple in 2019.
Between this and also JoJo, there's like a lot of gay villains this year. Gay villain power couples, which is good.
There's no monster and ghost trick, is there? Not really.
Yeah, Mel, I think if you watched like the rest of Saran and Mai, I think you'd really like it.
Alright, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
There's no monster and ghost trick, just two cops doing the dance.
Exactly. Let me get through try to beat through some of these because I backloaded some of the things I actually want to talk about.
Don't next backload because we are dead for conversation. We are in a wasteland of emptiness.
I know. Okay.
Don't hold out on the good stuff because we're fucked right now.
I know. Okay, so next is Karakuri Circus. This is like, I mean, when I say I backload, I mean like I try to like put like things in the middle, things like I try not to put all the good stuff right at first. I try to keep it like interestingly spread out.
Put all the good stuff at first, drop the bad stuff, and then release a 30-minute.
Well, JoJo was the best. JoJo was the best stuff. So who cares?
I care.
Karakuri Circus. Following his father's death, Masaru inherited a massive fortune, causing ire with the other branches of the family. Now with a target on his back, Masaru is on the run from puppet-wielding assassins hired to capture him dead or alive. During one particular chase, Masaru bumps into a kind-hearted Narumi with a bizarre disease that causes his lungs to spasm until he can make someone laugh. The two escape and eventually run into the beautiful yet emotionless Shirogane, who was hired by Masaru's grandpa to protect him. As the three bond, they are unaware of the tragic future that awaits them, involving murderous automaton, water that grants near immortal life, and the truth of the Zonapha virus that Narumi suffers from.
Well, shit, the Muppets got dark.
Yeah, this show is so fucking weird. Like, first off, you can clearly tell that there is some real JoJo, and like that the person who wrote this like was a fan of JoJo. Like there is some real inspiration from JoJo. The mangaka of this has their own like really unique style. It feels like if like it's kind of like if JoJo had puppets, but was in somehow even more insane.
Oh,
that's the best way I can put it. And for as much and it's got like similar like themes of like family bonds. You have like there's a lot of like this history and whatnot, but it deals with some of the most weirdest and most interesting like concepts like Karakuri Circus is so fucking interesting, and at the same time like it's paced so poorly, and it's so frustrating because like the first 3 episodes are like a must watch. Like I'd say like anybody out there, like watch the first 3 episodes of Karakuri Circus if you have Amazon Prime, because fuck Amazon Prime. The first 2 episodes are great, but then as it goes on, the pacing kind of goes so fast. Like it's the pacing's so bad that like a fight will start and end within like 5 seconds, like most of the time.
Like JoJo, but instead of stands, they have puppets.
Yeah, it's JoJo, but instead of stands, they have puppets.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would say if you don't care too much about the pacing, like if the pacing wouldn't bother you, the anime would be a lot of fun to watch. It's one of those I feel like I have to recommend the manga, though the music and the performances are really great. There were some pretty good cuts of animation in the show, but like if you watch the anime, you won't be. It's almost impossible to follow like during the middle chunk of the show, and then by the time you get to the last arc, you're like, how the fuck did we get here?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's a really hard show to follow because it's zooming through like volumes of manga per episode.
Oh wow, that's
like
a lot.
I think it's like a 40-50 volume manga that gets completed in 36 episodes.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. So, like,
that's an odd way to do it.
Do I recommend Karakuri Circus?
Tell me
yes.
why this happened. You're the anime man. Got not the anime man.
Yeah, let's
who's let's not talk about anime YouTubers.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like like the only thing holding me back from recommending the show is the awful pacing. Like, but like if you like JoJo, definitely check it out. It's some of the weirdest shit you'll ever watch. Or read the manga if it ever comes out to the West. Down to One Punch Man season 2.
Oh yeah.
Here's my summary. Here's my summary of it. Strong man punches things again.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy. Wow. I didn't follow this one, but oh boy, especially after watching Mob Psycho season 2, which was like the best shit I've ever seen. Oh man.
Well, it's hilarious because the show is incredibly backloaded with the best stuff. Like season two of One Punch Man, like the last like 2 episodes are really cool. Like they have some good, like they actually have some good animation, some good cuts, some really cool fights, some really cool bad guys. But like the first like 5 to 8 episodes are so static and dry that it's almost like not worth it.
Rest in peace, One Punch Man.
Yeah. I mean, granted, One Punch Man straddles the line of having like being like this comedy gag, but also trying to have something more to say, like and have like some more themes and whatnot. And when it deals with like the show's the most interesting when Saitama is not on screen. Like it has a lot of interesting characters, a lot of interestingly designed villains, and they have like interesting conflicts and whatnot. But then it just turns into, well, we're just gonna have to wait and like there's no tension because it's just like, oh, like is Saitama gonna show up and just one punch it?
One punch, yeah. Yeah, that's I think that's like my main thing with One Punch Man is like it's very hit or miss with how well it blends the comedy and the seriousness. Because I think in the bits where there's no action or anything, I think the serious stuff works better because it talks it actually examines like power and stuff like that, and how society treats power and shit like that and everything. But then when it's like, oh, this is a tough situation, it kind of just becomes the thing it's trying to parody with like waiting for Superman to show up.
Well, I think what makes the last fight in season 2 so great, and better than like the rest of the season, and in some ways it's a more interesting fight than most of the things in season 1, is that Saitama's not there during the fight at all. It's like it's heroes up against an incredibly like broken enemy, and and they basically have to defeat this like god tier enemy by themselves without Saitama, and it's like the most tense, like it's the most intense the show is, like even within like the first 2 seasons, it's like it's the most like interesting the show like is to watch. But yeah, so One Punch Man, I think it's a okay show.
Yeah, Mob Psycho is really good though.
Yeah, Mob Psycho is a lot more it's a lot consistently better, but that's because I do feel like the comedy in that show, like it doesn't focus too much on the comedy, and when it does, it's woven in a bit better. Where One Punch Man is like a gag from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. Like Mob Psycho is about themes and stuff like that, and One Punch Man just kind of happens to explore them from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all about psychic fighting. Like in Mob Psycho, the fucking psychic fight plot doesn't even happen until like almost the end of the run.
Mm-hmm.
All that cool psychic fight in action. There's only like maybe like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, not that many fights in Mob Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is a lot of fighting when they do start happening. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, there doesn't need to be fights in Mob Psycho. Though.
That's my favorite thing. It doesn't need to be.
In some ways, the fights in Mob Psycho are the least interesting.
Oh yeah,
part.
definitely. I was like when I was watching originally and it started getting to the claw arc for the first time, I was like, oh, this is not what I was hoping for. It's getting kind of like just standard shonen-y. And then it turned it around with the very end, with the climax of that bit, which was my favorite part. But other than that, yeah, like especially in this season 2, all the psychic.
By Dizzy
all right,
ducked out.
He's out. He's gone.
Okay, he's out.
Anyway.
Yeah, he needs to sleep.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, next show.
Well, good thing Yeah, there wasn't anything else I wanted to have him on for, anyways. Like he didn't need to stay for. Next show is Bungo Stray Dogs, season 3.
Bungo Stray. Oh, I know this one. It's like the one where they're all like named after authors and shit.
Yeah. So let me just let me write the short summary I have. Characters based off of famous authors with special powers inspired by their works participate in a war between a special detective agency and the Port Mafia. This is an impossible show to follow, especially due to the way it's being released. Bungo Stray Dogs as a series is written more so as like these independent stories that take place within a world, but because we get like a season like every like year or two, it's impossible to follow. Whereas something like My Hero Academia, it's one straightforward story. Bungo Stray Dogs is despite having a really fun cast, really cool characters, really it is a very beautiful show. It's got some of the it's absolutely gorgeous to look at, like all the time. Even like the movie that came out, that was like a spectacle to behold. But the biggest problem with Bungo Stray Dogs is it's impossible to follow. Like they start season 3 off with a backstory thing. Because it likes to jump around in the timeline a bit, so it sometimes it likes to talk about when like the character Dazai was still part of the Port Mafia, and then like so that they first did that during the 2nd season, and they did it again in the 3rd season. Like, oh, we're building this lore, but it never feels like it's naturally fit in there. It doesn't really weave well into the story. It's like, oh yeah, we're just doing this. It
does give me like kind of a Baccano vibe, but not like as. Probably not as tight as Baccano was.
Yeah, well, the problem is like these arcs last for like 3 to 4 episodes, or like 4 to 5 episodes. So like you'll have like a 3 to 5 episode stretch of like an individual arc that means nothing in the larger context.
I see.
So then when you get and it's actually sort of funny because the stuff when Daze was still in the Port Mafia is some of the most interesting. When it's like the show's at its most interesting. So when you come back to the present day when you're following the special detective agency, it's just the characters are much blander, not as interesting, and their design, even some of the character designs are just not as good. Like it's got a weird sort of wacky design, but it's not. It's got Bungo Stray Dogs has a real it's got a really cool aesthetic. It's got this cool aesthetic. It's got identifiable, some of the most identifiable character designs. If you see a Bungo Stray Dog character, you will know it's a Bungo Stray Dog character, despite still being generic anime.
Simultaneously generic and not.
I know it hits that generic anime and strong visual identity at the same time, which is a tough balance to hit.
A contradiction, but I'll take your word for it.
I know. I mean, the show is a contradiction because, the individual arcs, it's not like the arcs aren't interesting. They don't matter to anything in the long run. They'll give a little bit of character development to some character for this or that. But it does this episodic story structure that might work better for the manga. Just is impossible to follow for this sort of show. It feels like it would work better if it was one of those fucking shows that come out every week, if it's one of your weekly shonen shows rather than this highly produced Bones masterpiece.
Bones.
It's this is a highly produced Bones masterwork that comes out maybe every year or so. That is one of the it's one of the most visually impressive shows you will watch, but you won't care about anything going on because you can't follow any of it.
I've seen plenty of shows like that.
And I still watch it because it's still it's a blast to watch. It's directed the direction literally everything but other than the story is amazing. The sound design, the music, the openings. Bungo Stray Dogs has some of the best openings in the market, visually impressive openings, and it's crazy. But that's my opinion. You don't have to take my word for it.
It's too late. I already have.
Okay. Anyways, I've got 2 shows left. I've saved maybe like the more controversial shows for the end.
Boy.
Just to backload things. So, the next show is Rising of the Shield Hero.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I know. For the record, I watched the dub of this, and the dub is amazing. Like it's a really good dub. Like the casting, the performances. Like this is coming from someone who tends not to like dubs. If you're inclined to watch the show, for God's sake, watch the dub. It's so
That's
good.
heresy
And
for God.
the cast. I know. Well, God knows I'm not the biggest dub fan, so if I'm saying that this is a good dub, it means something.
I can't believe this.
Like, yeah, it's Cyril. So, after being transported into another world and having society turn against him, Naofumi must face the reality that he is tasked to save a world with not a single person he can trust. With no help from the kingdom that summoned him or the other heroes he is supposed to work with, Naofumi must turn to morally questionable tactics in order to survive. With the kindness of a demi-human slave girl, can our despised shield hero save the world and learn how to trust again?
Sorry.
Okay, so I know. So there's a few elephants in the room here, but I also want to. I know. So I want to jump back to something we said earlier in the cast, that a lot of anime, especially isekai, is taking the piss out of it's taking the piss out of each other. Shield Hero is taking the piss out of the isekai protagonist. That's what the show is like. So I said earlier. Okay, so the typical isekai protagonist ideal is you have this character who plays a lot of video games in the real world. He gets transported to a game and can do amazing things. Naofumi is the exact opposite of that. He doesn't play games. He reads books. He gets transported. The show starts off with him in a library. He opens a book and he gets transported into a world. He gets in there. The world turns to shit for him. But he's the only capable person because he's actually a human being, where the other guys who played video games are going around like trying to save things and trying to do good, trying to save things, and they're just making everybody else's life worse. So, yeah. So elephants, herds. So there are certain aspects of the show that caused controversy when the show came out. Now, obviously, we have the slave girl thing, which is a trope in the isekai genre. And then we have the fake rape allegation, which is a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
I think it works for the show. I think it's unfairly maligned because of the way the show uses it. And I actually sort of get the feeling that it was used purposefully because of the trope of rapist bad guy. Like, considering how far the show goes out of its way to take the piss on specific isekai tropes, it feels like it's like, oh, you have all these isekai like Sword Art Online, which have the bad guy who, oh, he's bad because he does rapey things. Well, what if we did this? What if everybody thought the protagonist was the bad guy because he was accused of rapey things? And it's sort of important to remember that the show was like, well, Shield Hero was written like 5-6 years ago before like the current social media, like whatevers. So, like, it's hard. It's not like it's easy to separate what the content of the show with the context of the current social political climate. But I feel like that's an unfair criticism when there's real things to criticize about the show. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, I love the tropes of this show is fucking nuts. Like, I don't know what the fuck, like, what is it? The characters or anything. I don't really. I just think it's really such a wild show, and I'm so like flabbergasted that like people were like, I remember actually Crunchyroll. I was like, Crunchyroll is like, oh, we picked up this show because we think whatever we're funding it, and I'm like, what really? This show? It doesn't seem like it's gonna be like very popular. I think the only notable thing about it is the controversy, honestly.
Yeah, like, well, that's actually sort of what's interesting about Shield Hero is the first 3 episodes are really solid because the main hook and the main drive of the show is Naofumi's character arc. You have this character who, like, is thrusted from society, loses all hope and trust in people and whatever, and his character arc is learning how to trust again, and that's the one consistently good thing throughout the show.
And he's got to learn to trust by having a slave girlfriend.
Well, okay,
who grows up magically.
Okay, first off, Naofumi never considers the slave girl as potential waifu material. In fact, he also like he mocks people that like are attracted.
She's clearly
or,
meant
like,
to be the waifu bait, though.
Yeah, I know she's absolutely. That's. I mean, granted, she's obviously meant to be the waifu bait. Like, I'm not arguing that point. Shield Hero sits in this weird. Yes, Shield Hero sits in this weird conundrum of it clearly trying to take the piss out of certain tropes by using them. Like some tropes it it flips, and some it uses in certain ways. Like in any isekai, like in a lot of isekai, like there's a slave girl, you buy, like there's a slave trade, you buy a slave trade because that's what everybody does. In Shield Hero, Naofumi gets a slave because he can't, like, because he has a shield, he can't fight for himself. There's no offensive capabilities in the sword, in the shield early on. And nobody wants to team up with him. So the conclusion to that is, well, shit. Like, I guess I have to get a slave now because I've got no other
choice but to buy a slave.
Because if I don't get someone to fight for me, I will literally die like on the first wave of monsters. Like,
sorry.
Like,
it's just,
yeah.
I'm
Like,
thinking about. I got a really moral conundrum here. I just gotta own this slave, man.
Well, it's like, I mean, the moral conundrum is I either buy a slave or I die, which is still fucked. It's an incredibly fucked like concept and topic.
It feels like this show is going really far off its way to justify I need a slave. Like this. Well, I'm still stuck on that.
But as like I'm saying, like it feels like from my perspective watching the show that's clearly taking the piss out of certain aspects of isekai. It feels like, oh, you have all these other people writing these isekai stories on this forum that involve slaves. Yeah, let me show it to them. Let me actually write a good reason to get a slave rather than just for waifu material.
I feel like we could just do without the slaves.
I mean, I don't disagree, but honestly, with Naofumi having the not being able to fight for himself, having nobody else wanting to work with him because of the allegations, how the fuck is he supposed to not die?
I mean, it's fiction. You could write anything. I could write something like, I don't know, he finds a sword or something like that, or he starts training his shield.
Yeah, one of the things with the shield is that these legendary weapons is that you can't use any other weapon but the legendary weapons. He tries to buy a shield.
A shield?
No, he tries to buy a sword, and his shield's like, nope.
It's amazing.
Fuck you.
This is really. It's just more and more sounding to me like they were like, okay, we gotta really justify this slave thing. It's like they really, really wanted it.
Well, it feels like the justification doesn't feel like it's like, oh, we need to justify getting a slave. It's more like, considering the meta aspect of all these isekai light novels, I really get this impression that the writer of Shield Hero, who is anonymous and is supposedly a woman, really doesn't like the people who write most of these light novels, and this feels almost like a hit piece on a lot of isekai tropes. You have the video game protagonist guys going in and fucking everything up for everybody. You have you guys like to write stories where the rapist is a bad guy. Well, look here. The protagonist was called a rapist, and now everybody hates them. I took your trope and I did something more interesting with it, sort of thing. Watching Shield Hero, it really feels like the main intention was to say fuck you to a lot of the other isekai stories. And my biggest proof of that is how bad the world building is in the show, and how bad everything other than Naofumi is. Because watching it just comes off as there was a single intent to writing the story. But because it got popular for whatever reason, they had to continue writing it, and there was no other... Like, and this person wasn't a good enough writer to be able to do anything with this, like, with a long-running story. Like, the show just gets perpetually worse as you learn more and more about the world.
Oh, sorry, I blinked out. I mean, I haven't watched it, so I can't really say for sure or anything. But yeah, like, from what I saw of it, I didn't think it was satire or anything, because I was like, oh, I just figured this is the show how it is. It doesn't seem like... I don't know if it was clear enough it's satire, or anything, or like a...
Well, I mean, I'll say first off,
it just seems very,
most people, especially
very just miserable.
I think, I mean, the show is very, like, miserable. Granted, like, the first 3 episodes are somewhat, like, are pretty miserable. Like, you're seeing that through Naofumi's perspective. He's going through this depression. Like it goes into detail of how depressed he is because of, how depressed he is because he's dealing with losing all faith and trust in the people around him and in humanity and whatnot, like feeling completely othered and alone. Like the production goes into incredible depth to portray that, like within like both the color palettes, how things are presented, Naofumi's dialogue and delivery, and like the first 3 episodes are like really well done. Which is also why it's such a shame when everything falls apart, but that's beside the point. But it's a show.
Yep, it's a show. Remember, kids, don't believe women.
It's not a matter of believe or don't believe. That the whole actually, I'll be honest, I really hate those sorts of dichotomies of, oh, believe women, don't believe women. Like the way that our world currently works, it's incredibly difficult to prove such things. And like when you know people who have suffered from both like being victims and being victims of both the rapes and being victims of false accusations, it makes it really hard to feel comfortable with any of this conversation, because more times than not, and the statistics have shown that you can't prove what actually happened in the situation, because these are not crimes that create enough evidence to prove one case or the other. And some people are really good liars, some people aren't good liars, and you can easily have victim, like we can easily have like rapists get away because there's not enough evidence. You can easily have people get away with like ruining someone's life because you can make an accusation, and that's one of the things that make this whole like online thing about it so hard, because you have one group that's like, oh yeah, like we have to believe women, because if we don't believe women, there will be people who don't speak out, which is a truth. That is incredibly true. If we don't have the structure and the society, like the open society, to have these conversations, then people won't come out with their truths, and people like will continue to be victimized and whatnot. But to the same extent, when you know people and you know the stories of real people who have like had their lives ruined from false accusations, it makes it really like hard to do either way. Like it's rough, and that's why I don't like these conversations, because everything on the internet, it's one thing or the other, and there's like the real answer is we need to create ways where it's easier to prove things. And yeah, I'm going on one of my rampage tangents.
I think just
because
I have a lot of feelings, but you know, it's probably not anime related, so
yeah, I know. I've got fucking like I've got feelings, because like with any issue, your bias is going to be towards whatever you've experienced or whatever you know people have experienced. Like what your friends and families have experienced, you're more likely, your bias is going to be more towards one side or the other. And like most people are too, like especially on Twitter and on the internet, people are too busy trying to dunk on each other rather than have an actual conversation.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens. Yeah, that's definitely, Twitter's not good for any fucking kind of
yeah,
coherent conversation at all.
Well, one of the worst things about Twitter is you can't tell when someone's when joking, being satirical, or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen people try using like sarcasm tags, but other than that, I don't.
No, but then the other time you don't know if the person using sarcasm tags to hide the fact that this is what they really think.
Twitter's a mess. Fuck.
I know.
Why do I still use it? I'm actually getting really close to dropping it because fuck, man,
Yeah,
like the new update really sucks, and like there's more and more ads, and they're trying, really hard to make sure that they stay on and stuff, and man, it sucks so hard.
Yeah. Like the only reason why I'm on Twitter is just to like have a somewhere other than Discord to share.
To have an online presence that you can spread your brand.
Yeah, well, the thing about the one thing I've maintained about Twitter is Twitter's a really good advertisement platform because it's a really great place to share a small thing, like to quickly share an easy thing, because more people are more likely to read a little advertisement on Twitter rather than some long Facebook post saying this is why you should come watch or read a thing.
Yeah, it is good for having a presence really quickly that people can go, oh, here you are.
Anyways, I've got one more show to hammer on. It's probably less controversial than Shield Hero because I think less people actually care about the show now.
Sweet.
So the last one is Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2.
Oh, I didn't even know that was still going.
Yeah, it's still trust me, Attack on Titan's it's not even halfway over
God.
apparently.
I've stopped caring about Attack on Titan after I read ahead and found that my favorite characters don't make it. So I'm like,
yeah. I mean, apparently the next anime season is going to be the final season of Attack on Titan.
Okay.
I watch Attack on Titan because I like horror. I've got the Junji Ito stuff on my bookshelf. Attack on Titan's the best when it's just being horror. So Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. Humans fight giant monsters, but spoilers happen, and now it's an allegory to Nazi Germany.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Go broke or go home as we learn the dark truth behind the Titans and the humans trapped behind the walls.
Attack on Titan, what the fuck?
That's not where I expected it to go. What's weird about Attack on Titan, especially considering that its world is clearly separate from our own despite the allegory, is that it's really easy to have shallow takes on it. I've seen a lot of reactionary takes. So what's really weird about Attack on Titan is that depending on what your bias is, you can easily read into it either way. I don't know much about the later spoilers in the manga. I've heard some things, but I don't know if the allegory, how intentional the allegory to Nazi Germany actually is in regards to actually saying something. I feel like to some degree it's using some things. Either way, if we want to talk about the allegory specifically, spoiler, if you don't want Attack on Titan spoilers, let's you can leave the podcast now. Fucking hell. So our main bros, our main dudes are the oppressed Jews, and they're in the walls, which are the concentration camps, and they've been killing their own without even realizing it because there's this evil empire that has fucking anti-Jew conspiracies of the Jews trying to take over the world. So they're fucking sending them they're fucking sending the Jews to these walls, injecting them with this Titan thing, this spinal fuel column to turn them into mindless monsters that eat each other, eat humans, and yeah, people suck.
Please don't take this out of context. This audio clips. Just make a YouTube poop of try.
Yeah, so one of the things I actually first off, speaking of just the quality of the season, I much enjoyed this season far more than the part 1 of season 3, and this is actually some of the most I've enjoyed with Attack on Titan because it's really doubled down on the horror imagery. You have this content this what do I call it this conflict between, you have our Survey Corps trying to take back Wall Maria, which was destroyed at the beginning of the show, and then you have this group of Titan users who are yeah, no, we're just gonna wipe the rest of you guys. We're gonna wipe out the rest of humanity in here for whatever reason. They haven't really talked about their motivations yet. But it's
yeah.
it's cool. It's like the horror imagery in this season is really like horrifying and great and brutal, and it deals with some of the heaviest subjects. I will say it does its best when it's not being political, and it's one of my favorite parts of it is how is it showing the horrors of war and being like I know there's one of the criticisms of Attack on Titan, especially within the first 2 seasons, is that it in some ways it glorifies this nationalistic ideology of join the army and protect the people, etc. Where what season 3 part 2 sort of does is it kind of says you were idiots for coming okay, no, it says okay, yes, it's important that we're saving humanity, but look how terrible all this is. It does not pull its punches. It shows how horrible this war is, and you have to be a mess up in the head to actually want to participate in this. Season 3 is so fucking horrifying at times. Seeing how people get where season 1 and 2 does a lot of the heroic death sort of thing, or mourning for the loss. So you don't really see just how graphic it is. For season 3, people are armies are getting an army of people get wiped out in seconds from debris, Titans throwing debris at them, and just you're watching their bodies getting torn apart.
Yo.
And it's not pretty,
man.
I'll actually kind of use a similar analogy. I've talked about Shield Hero before, but Attack on Titan reads to me it's trying to draw in this crowd of let's say it's naturally appealing to a more nationalistic crowd, so it can show this stuff later of how horrible it is, how horrible war is. Do you really want to take part of this sort of thing? Where I feel Shield Hero is oh, I'm gonna appeal to the isekai incel edgy teens who love these overpowered isekai protagonists, and then proceed to show them a story where the characters they would be in the story are the fuck ups. It absolutely feels it's trying to bring in that specific audience and be no, you're wrong. And then going into the more political stuff, I guess in some ways this is sort of where the theming of the show kind of plays in. It's season the first half of season 3 dealt a bit with this. Season the back season 2, part 2 of season 3 definitely dealt with this, but it's very, I feel what the message the author's trying to say outside of just the horrors of war, but the cycles of hate, it's quite it's questioning, and I feel the show wants to question, and it wants to be just because you feel somebody just because you feel a group of people have done this to you. So let's say for example let's say the Nazis' perspective. So let's say the Nazis feel the leaders of the Nazi people who are buying into the mentality believe that the Jews have taken over the world and are oppressing them. So in the Nazi mentality, it's okay, it's then we're justified to go and kill, hurt, maim, or lock these people up because they've done us so much wrong. So from the Nazi perspective, they're justified in doing so. What I feel the show is trying to show is that it is these cycles of hate are never justified, whether they're right or wrong. It is never right to participate in these cycles of hate. Now, do I know if that thematically holds through? I could be easily proven wrong by a completely botched final season. I mean, that's not the first time that's ever happened.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to continue. I was waiting for you to continue, and then I was oh wait, I guess I should say something.
Aaron continues to be the worst part of the show.
Oof. Oh, brutal.
Though he's less aggravating this season than previous seasons. From season 1, the best part of Attack on Titan was never its characters. It was never really its world. It was always the horror imagery. And I feel while I appreciate some of the political things it's trying to say, I don't necessarily feel it says it the best. What I feel it's trying to say, I don't feel it's getting across the best, considering how different the takes of it actually are. I feel like this is going to suffer some real death of the author when the final season hits around. But
yeah, I don't feel super comfortable commenting on like the whole racial allegory of it because I'm not Jewish, but it's definitely that's I wasn't expecting that from Attack on Titan. I think it'd probably be best if you kind of not. I don't know.
Oh, I don't. Well, I maintain this. I maintain that if from the beginning of the show, if it just focused on the horror elements rather than trying to talk the politics up, because the show always falters when it tries to talk politics, because this maker doesn't know how to have these sorts of conversations. Like he doesn't like the whole first part of the second season is just all politics. Basically, it's all about like, politics about the Titans, politics about the kingdom that's inside the walls and whatnot, and it's an absolute train wreck of a mess. Like I know I'm singing high praises about this third season, but part of that's because of how bad part 1 of this season was. Like part 1 of season 3 was absolutely awful. It was horrible. It was horrendous. I didn't even like season 2 that much. I'm not even the biggest fan of Attack on Titan. I just like the whole I like the horror imagery that comes along with the Titans, and that's enough to bring me around. And I probably would have dropped season 3 if this second half of season 3 didn't have such good horror imagery. Also, I'm sort of in for the ride, I guess. I've watched enough Attack on Titan where it's a sunk cost fallacy, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I was into it like for a little bit because I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And also, there's gays, and then I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, if you want your gays, watch Saran's and Mine.
Yeah.
That's Saran's and Mine is a definition of mood.
Oh, mood. I do like saying mood at things that are relatable. That's my entire personality.
Yeah, like Saran's and Mine is such a show.
Such a show, yeah.
Yeah, things are shows. Shows are things. We are all shows in our own right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my last show on here. I don't know. Did you have any shows that you particularly felt anything about that you wanted to...
Let's see. What was
did you care?
Shows from last season? Let me quickly Google them up. Spring 2019. Let's see what anime. Oh, I forgot to put anime, so just went over to the actual date. Spring 2019 had One Punch Isekai.
My favorite spring 2019 show is Dr. Stone.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's a summer. It's a summer show.
I want to check out Carol and Tuesday. I never got around to that one.
I heard that's good, but it's on Netflix, and getting me to watch an anime on Netflix is like almost impossible because I mostly watch my shows weekly.
Oh, just go, just pirate it. I don't care.
Yeah. No, but if the show's already all out, I'm less likely to watch it because I watch my shows as they come out.
Oh,
weekly.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest way for me to watch.
Let's see. There wasn't much I followed beyond JoJo and Precure, which are just the best, just because that's just canon.
See, I'd watch Precure, but same problem.
Oh yeah, Precure. Well, Precure does weekly. It's just if you want to watch old ones.
But like I'd have to watch all of the earlier stuff.
You don't have to watch all of the earlier ones. They're not like a continual.
I would have maybe if they do a Precure event with Madoka Magica Magia Record, maybe.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I want that.
Magia Record is so good. Like, I don't even care much for the gameplay, just the story and the music and the characters.
Oh no, I might have to try it. Then I'm gonna lose all my money again.
Yeah, you can blame Quando for this. I asked Quando if Magia Record was worth it, and Quando was just like, yes.
God damn it, Quando.
I'm like, crap. God damn it, Quando. You convinced me by saying it has auto battle in it, and auto battle is like the one thing that will, like, if a game interests me, I'll be like, okay, it's not too much of a commitment thing because I can grind easily.
Anyways, I'm going you want to talk about like some of the quickly from this season?
Yeah. Let me pull up my watch list. Fuck. Also, I guess another show that aired last season was Fruits Basket. I'm gonna have some hot takes on that.
I've heard of that. Like it's a very it's a remake, right, of another one.
Yeah, I've never watched the original one. I watched the first volume of the manga, but I still get the same feeling from reading the first volume of the manga, and it's just. It's got, I don't get the appeal. I get, like, there are times where, like, I don't like a show and I can be like, okay, but I get why people like this. Like, my wife and I are watching Fruits Basket and we can't understand why anybody likes it.
That's a spicy take.
Yeah, that's a spicy take, but that's gonna be whenever the show's done. And don't tag me. I'm still watching. I might still be watching it, but don't tag me.
Oh yeah.
Don't at me. Let's see. I've been watching Kimetsu no Yaiba, Demon Slayer, whatever. It's a mood. It's a shonen battle thing by Ufotable. I like it. It's got some cool effects. It's also got some awkward CG at times, but what anime doesn't? Vinland Saga is good, but I think everybody expected that to be good.
That one again?
Vinland Saga is like, it's the one about the fucking, I'm going to my fucking anime list. It's the one about the Vikings.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah, it's like a classic manga that like people said would never be adapted into anime. When I say classic, it's like, oh man, I'm calling like an early like 2000s manga classic.
Oh no! Oh fuck! Oh no, we're old.
Fire Force, it's cool, but it's really weirdly directed. I don't know if I actually finished watching the anime. I might just keep reading the manga.
It was my David production.
Yeah, it's a first time director and it shows. Like there are times it looks phenomenal. There are times that it makes me want to throw up.
Oh yeah.
There are times that it kind of makes me motion sick to watch just because of how like oddly the directing's paced.
Yeah.
Our Fate Zero sequel, Lord Elmoy II, is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it feels like there's a Fate show every season now.
I know. Yeah. Lord Elmoy is pretty cool. If you're like a mystery buff, you might not. It's not really a show for mystery buffs because it's more about the magic. Like it's magic mysteries. Yeah, my wife doesn't like it because she doesn't care for the magic, and I completely respect that. I think that's the only thing I'm watching this season. I know I said Dr. Stone's one of those shows where I'm like, I didn't expect to like it as much as I am. I expected to actively dislike it, but I love it. For some reason, I'm making myself still suffer through Yu-Gi-Oh! Friends.
Oh yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Friends. I watched a couple episodes with some friends while drunk. It was pretty wild. I did think it was kind of cool that they used the Duel Link style in the show.
Yeah, like it's cool, but like the duels are not interesting to watch.
Oh yeah,
whatsoever.
definitely. I mean,
it is embarrassing how boring the duels are. Especially coming off of Arc V, where that was like the most interesting part of the show is how like exciting the duels were. I mean, that wasn't the most exciting part. Like the whole midsection was, but then the show falls apart. But that's another story. Yeah, that's basically all I'm watching this. I'm actually not watching that much this season. That's weird.
For me, I'm watching. Let's see. Let's start with. No, I'm not watching that. I'm trying to run through here. The first one I've started is Machikado Mazoku. It's about a devil girl she's just a regular girl, and then one day she's like, "Hey, you're actually a devil. Your family's descended from a demon, and you've been cursed with perpetual poverty. That's why your family's so poor."
Oh, lovely.
And your only way to break the curse is to kill a magical girl. And there's like a magic. It's very like tongue in cheek. There's like just a magical girl hanging around, and she's like, "Oh, she's the magical girl in Class A over there." It's very cute, very simple. It's not like super greatly anything, but it's very cute, and I like it.
It's one of those shorts shows, right? Like where
it's like a 4-coma.
Like,
yeah. But it's pretty cute. It's about basically the magical girl and the devil girl just like having their like back and forth. Like the devil girl is really weak and she can't really do much, so she's like, "Come on, I'll defeat you, magical girl," and she like throws a punch and it breaks her hand.
Excellent.
It's very cute. I enjoy it. It's just like a cute. There's like usually one of those every season that I get into where it's like a vaguely gay, cute girl show. But that one's fun. And then we get my specialty, Senki Zesho Symphogear XV. I've been watching Symphogear. I tried the original on a whim one day with one of my friends, and ever since I've watched all of this. It's such a dumb good show, and it's incredibly gay.
Sounds like a lot of anime. It sounds like a lot of like long running anime. It's like you just watch it on a whim, and it's like, well, like on a like whim, and you're just like, well, I gotta watch the rest of this now because it's really
dumb, but it's also very entertaining. The animation and fights are I could talk a lot about Symphogear, but I won't. But basically, this season is so far it's pretty cool. I like I like seeing the characters again and doing all their crazy attacks. That's like probably the main draw of Symphogear is like seeing what the crazy attacks the characters do, because they could just do like really like something out of a fighting game bullshit with their powers and stuff. Like they'll punch 20 feet in the air and then like shoot 1,000 rockets or turn into a buzzsaw. It's a lot of really extra anime shit that I enjoy. I think this one is let's see. I liked last season actually. That one I thought was good. This season so far it's okay. I don't like the villains nearly as much this season. I'm getting a little tired because like Symphogear so far has done a thing where like the villains are like a trio of evil girls who are like kind of sympathetic despite being evil, and they're all like loyal to each other. So they're not really evil. They're just like doing bad things mainly. And this is another one of those with like a trio of kind of sympathetic but still evil girls. And I'm a little tired after last season and the season before, where that was also the thing. He's just gonna kind of get a little worn out by that. But I'm still waiting to see where it goes. It's Symphogear. I'm gonna stick with it. And I think there was one other show. Where was it? Or maybe there wasn't. I thought there was something else. No, I guess not. Just Precure, I guess. I'm still watching Precure because it's good. I do actually really like this specific season. This new one that's coming out. I really like it. I think it might be one of my new favorites. It tackles a lot of really more intricate themes than like the past ones that I've been watching, and because it's usually like it's always like very episodic and simple and stuff, but they go into like some more deeper stuff like that are more like things that are more relevant to like us today, I guess. But yeah, it's good. It's very cute. I think that's
if you like that deeper stuff, you have to watch Saran and Mai.
Yeah, I'll check out Saran and Mai. And let's see, anything else? No, I don't think so. I think that's it.
I'm just gonna keep
shilling
Mai because
that's good. I'll keep shilling Precure. Together, we will rule the world.
I can't wait for this Saran and Mai crossover with Magia Record because that will definitely happen. I want my Kappas, boy.
Yeah. Boy. Man, this isn't an anime, but I really want to shill it. I just watched She-Ra season 3. Holy fuck. Oh my god, it's so good. It's such a wild, like season 3 goes in like a wildly different direction than the other two seasons. Cause like season 1 and season 2 for the most, well actually more season 1. It's basically like kind of not a like, it's a much more basic thing. It's like an episodic, we gotta do a bunch of stuff. And ever since season 2, it started getting like progressively more intense. And now season 3 is like, whoa, Jesus. We fucking took a turn there. It's so good.
Yeah. And I don't watch cartoons anymore. Last cartoon I watched was My Little Pony.
Oh, man.
Yay.
Yeah, I think that one's still going, actually.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, I think it's coming up to its supposedly last season.
Man, that's wild. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I keep perpetually thinking My Little Pony came out like 2 years ago, and then it's been like fucking it's been out like fucking 2013, and it's been like how long, 6 years or something. Oh my god. Man.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's all I have to say.
Yep. I just sent you just to get back on to just the last one time shill the Trial by Trolley. Despite when this goes up, the Kickstarter will be over.
Oh yeah.
I sent you the most recent one they put up because I thought that would amuse you.
Trolley Tom, Decision 13. All right, let's see. Multi-track drift.
Yeah, boy.
Fuck your phones. That's mood. They're both dead now. That's mood.
Yes. That's a mood. I hope that's not a feature in the actual game because that's one way to fuck over all the competition.
Yep. I can't wait till I do that in the next round, which will definitely happen, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I'll totally let that happen. I'll totally just multi-track drift all of your OCs.
Oh yeah, Bill.
Except your shitty ones. I'll keep your shitty ones
fuck.
alive.
That's all of them.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Oh, excellent.
You
Then nobody
tricked
dies. And this has been Bros in a Landfill, going on too long like usual. See you next week.
Don't forget
Check
that
out.
death is an illusion.
Don't forget, death is death, and illusions are illusions.
I didn't have any good outro.
Me neither.
DSY, play a song.
But DSY, sing us a song.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.